Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, Jim.
Oh, come on. Can y'all hear me online? Can you hear me out here? Oh, come on. Act like you were in attendance for the latest Astros combined no-hitter.
Yes.
With Tatsui Imai. So act like you were in attendance for that, right?
Santa.
In Santa, right?
Santa.
You don't, Santa will come get you.
That's right.
You leave you some coal. So even if he did they put him back to is he back in Sugarland? Sugarland Santa. But they only did that because they didn't have enough room, they had to make a move, right?
Right.
Okay, bring Santa back up.
That's right.
Okay.
Where you want Santa?
What a great name, right? Okay. All right. So I know we haven't seen each other in a while. How many of you were at the event in May? Event in May. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was a great event. How many of y'all liked the game at the end? The Space Cowboys game at the end. How did you like at the end of the event? Did you stay for the whole game?
Can you rephrase that question?
What?
How many of us watched the ninth inning?
We didn't watch the ninth inning. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. So, and why did I not stay at the end of the game?
Because we were going to a conference the next day and had to be up to date.
Because I had a flight to catch the next morning to go to Charlotte,
That's right.
right?
Just the cheese of that wine, Joe?
Well, a few of the gifts that we're going to give away tonight to anyone who wins the trivia contest not named Fred. Some of the events, some of the things that I got on my trip to North Carolina. This is from the Greenville Drive Stadium. If you don't know anything about Greenville Drive, Greenville, South Carolina. I went to the Space Cowboy game on Saturday. I went to the Asheville Taurus versus Greenville Drive game on Sunday. Okay. They have a miniature green monster there. If you've never been there, they sing Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning. So they really get into it. And then on Tuesday, when my conference was over, quote unquote, thank you. I drove out to Fayetteville to watch the Fayetteville Astros game. So I saw 3 minor league games in about 5 days. So didn't get a chance to make it to Corpus Christi. But
What kind of prospects we have?
hey, that kid at Fayetteville, the 18-year-old, Xavier Nias or something like that. He looks like a mountain. He looks like the young Jordan.
Did you root the Sanders?
Yes, we did. Yeah, I saw those great jerseys they had. I was looking for one for my son. We were laughing about it. I was like, wouldn't you love a Fayetteville Peckers jersey? No, but they're the Woodpeckers, obviously. But so I did that. And then, if you don't know, I just came back on late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. I spent all last week in Florida watching my grandson's 12U baseball team play at their World Series in Panama City, Florida. They got second place in their 12U division. So I'm really proud of that 12-year-old team. So they got moved up classification to the majors. So I say my grandson's made the show. So they're doing trials for 13U. So, it was an interesting year. I'm really proud of them. We had a good time in Florida last week. So anyway, all right.
Those cups come with beer.
Those cups come with if your name is not Fred and you win the trivia contest, you can walk away with one of these cups or a Fayetteville Woodpeckers team set cards. Okay. All right. And maybe even our guest speaker's book tonight. So kind of like I come bearing gifts like Santa.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Can you fits like Santa?
no.
Used to be.
Anyway, although things are going great right now, right? Last time I checked, it's 1-0 Astros.
1-1.
Okay. Okay, so let me thank again Garrett. If you missed the meeting at Constellation Field, we had two great guests. Garrett Green, the voice of the Space Cowboys. He talked to us for a few minutes, and they talked kind of about his life that led to the Space Cowboys, and he also does this great thing on social media where if he goes to different parks in the league, and he gives like these little tours that he does. So if you're ever on social media, you can look up Space Cowboys, you can look up Garrett Green and watch his little 1 to 2 minute tours of the different stadiums in places like Seattle, things like that. So they're pretty neat. And then we also had a very special guest, Timothy Christ, okay, who wrote a book about and I always destroy that, Bernie, right? The Bernie Little League.
Got it.
Bernie Little League Baseball Championship team who went in 2024, 2020 to the Little League World Series. His son was a part of that team, and he wrote a book about his experience, how Bernie made history and played on their Field of Dreams. So you didn't get a copy of that book, that it's available everywhere. So okay, I'm not going to take up a lot of time tonight because I want to give Bill Brown all the time that he really needs. We have a lot of special things going on in the chapter in the next couple of months. Brownie's talk actually kind of ties in a little bit to what our August chapter meeting was going to be about. Next month, we're not going to have a chapter meeting because I hope all of you are going to Cleveland at the end of July for SABR 54. Who's going with me to Cleveland? All right, just two of us. Okay.
Cincinnati Reds.
Okay. So Mike, you're not going?
Decided yet.
You haven't decided? Okay, so Mike may just show up in Cleveland, Ohio. July 29th through August 2nd. Scott, you're not going? Scott, you usually go, but not this year. Okay? Not this year. All right. So we'll just check out the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame without y'all. But SABR 54, July 29th through August 2nd. Okay. And then in August, on our next in-person meeting will be August 17th. And we're going to spend the entire meeting talking about our chapter namesake and what he did on the field on July 9th, 1976. Okay. So we will have a celebration of Dierker's only no-hitter. Okay, because the 50th anniversary of his no-hitter comes up next July 9th. And so the whole purpose of the meeting and articles for the next newsletter will probably rotate around Dierker's accomplishment. So if you have a story about a no-hitter, if you have a story, maybe you were there or something like that, and on July 9th, 1976, or if you want to say something about it, you're not going to want to miss that meeting. So, yes, it was at the Dome. Right, against you remember who?
Montreal.
Against the Montreal Expos. Okay, so Brownie told me a very funny story that about the no-hitter that he says Dierker can tell it even better. Right? Okay, so you're not going to want to miss that. We'll try everything I can to get Dierker here, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, but Patrick Petty has come up with 50 interesting facts about that night. Okay, so you're not going to want to miss it. Okay, all right. Let me see. All right, that was real fast, real quick. I'm not going to take a lot of extra time because I want Brownie to talk. But yes, Mike.
We're gonna give Dierker remember to plaque that.
We are going to give him a plaque from that.
Yeah. Out of chapter fund.
Out of chapter funds. You're holding me to that, or you know how to do that? Or
Yeah, all in favor.
all in favor of giving Dierker a plaque? Okay.
All opposed?
All opposed? How much is it going to cost? Oh, wait a minute. The accountant's not here. Never mind. Bob McCann, the accountant, is not here, so money is no option. Do you know where I can get one? Can you make that happen? I'll give you the money.
Yeah.
So it'd be the Mike McCroskey Award. Okay.
You can now get it done.
All right.
It's a special event.
It's a very special event. You're not going to want to miss it. August 17th. Make sure we spell Dierker's name right. Yes, please. Let's make sure we spell and double and triple check.
It's not Deutsche, it's Dierker.
By the way, how many people in here? I know this is kind of the subject for the August meeting, but has anybody ever attended a no-hitter game at the major league level? Wow. Well, besides, you've attended state.
Mike Scott, 86, I was there.
Which one?
Mike Scott's 86.
Mike Scott, 86.
Dierker and Scott.
Dierker and Scott.
Mike Fires.
Mike who?
Valdez.
I was a friend.
Robert Valdez. Anybody else?
Don Wilson, second.
Nolan Ryan, September.
Got some,
3, you got a hand up.
Nolan Ryan. Kobe.
Frombers and what was that, 23
Rombers 23. Anybody else online? Y'all
or
seen
22?
You been with no hair? No? Okay. Daryl Kyle? What am I doing, man?
Stand right there in front of the picture, back.
All right. Daryl Kyle. What year was that? 93?
In my sojourn, my travels in ballparks, we attended in LA, Western Kershaw. It should have been a perfect game, but Andy remitted it. 2 outs in the ninth, produced by routine ground balls. Kershaw has class to go over, pat him on the back and say, it's okay, strike the next guy.
Okay.
My son attended the sixth man no hitter in Yankee Stadium.
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Liz. Wait a minute. What have we got? Glory, everything all right? Ball game,
I attended a year Astros no-hitter. This is way back, Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. I even forget the pitcher's name, he was Hispanic pitcher. He got into the 8th inning. 8th inning, he gave up a single. So the no-hitter was falling, the next 2 innings were home run.
Like Lou, I attended an also no-hitter that I've talked about here. 1986, Jimmy Jones' debut, the Padres against the Astros. The only hit for the Astros that night was a triple by pitcher Bob. A triple. How odd is that? And Bob Knepper said after the game, "Yeah, hey, I'm a great hitter." You know,
My experience was there were about 10,000 people at the game when it started. And then as it went on, in about the 7th inning, people started rolling in. And by the 9th, it was packed because people were showing up wanting to say they saw it.
which one was that?
And that was the Fires on
The Fires number. Okay.
2016.
Okay. All right.
Have a fire sale.
Do we even count that one? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Anyway, all right. Speaking of interesting events, anybody seen any good baseball documentaries lately or baseball movies? I watched one yesterday. And Greg, you watched it over the weekend as well. Did the thing just come out this weekend? Okay, it's called Return of the Clowns. And if you don't know what it's on ESPN, and it is Return of the Clowns. It is based on the story of the Indianapolis Clowns. Okay, and it kind of ties they were the Savannah Bananas before the Savannah Bananas even existed. And it's a great movie, great documentary. I did not know that they had their origins, the Indianapolis Clowns. They did not start in Indianapolis. They actually started in Miami as the Ethiopian Clown. Right. And if any of y'all know me, you know that I like to collect little lapel pins. And I have a lapel pin at the house that says Ethiopian Clown. So if you've never seen the story, well, it's a brand new day. If you don't know the story of the Indianapolis Clowns, watch the documentary on ESPN Plus or Disney or whatever.
ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN. Return of the Clowns.
And they have a
So,
woman play.
yeah, Tony Stone.
They
And
have,
also, they had three, right? Tony Stone, Peanut, what's Mammy Peanut, what's your, right?
yeah, there were three.
And who was the other, do you know?
Peanut Johnson.
Yeah, there's Peanut Johnson, Tony Stone, and somebody else.
The baseball is,
Mammy?
Peanut, I better put another.
Yeah. So if you're looking for something to watch this week, check it out. It's only about 50 minutes long. So it's great.
This is a little different, but I saw this today, Brian may know about it, but there was a group, Tim Kirkton was there, and they were talking about stuff, and this guy was on there talking about Pete Rose. And he says Pete Rose just won 2 consecutive batting titles, playing in 1970. And his dad frequently goes to the game, and said his dad was like Mr. Hall, everything for in Ohio and everything. And so that, and he said he would always, after the game, his dad would already be gone. And he said, so this one day, he comes out after the game and his dad's waiting for him. Oh, and he said, oh my God, something wrong with mom. He goes, no, your mom's fine. He goes, well, what's going on? He says, what did you do in that third at bat? He said, rounded out the second. He said, yeah, but what did you do? And he said, well, I was distracted. And I meant to go to right field, but I didn't get it. I grounded the second. He said, so what did you do? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about that. He said, did you run as hard as you can to first? And he goes, well, no, I was a little distracted. He said, don't you ever embarrass me. No.
Right.
And from that day forward, that's why Rose always ran the first, or ran everything out hard.
Yeah,
I never heard you for her.
that's a lesson I think that needs to be taught to all kids. All kids playing ball. Don't stop halfway when, even if you think you're gonna get out. Trust me, I saw this all last week. Kids that should have been safe at first were out at first because they quit running. Okay? I saw my grandson do that once, and I got on him several times. But I think he was just playing with me because we had a great week. He actually got hit by a ball this week. And what did he do? He literally ran as fast as he could down first base. So he was like, yeah, okay. So it was kind of fun. But yeah,
Connie Morgan was the third one and he wrote.
Connie Moore. Okay. So again, if you're looking for something interesting to watch, go ahead and watch that. So
Peanut Johnson was the only pitcher, female pitcher.
right,
5'4".
5'4". Yep.
And like a 51 loss. Something like that. He was good.
See right here.
The right.
What's the name of the film again?
Return of the Clowns. Anybody know the most famous player ever for the Indianapolis Clowns? Guy by the name of Hank Aaron. So and how many games did he play for Hank Aaron? How many games did he play for the Clowns?
Not many.
Not many? Yeah,
He
so
was only waiting for like a month or two.
like a month. All right, so now our guest tonight needs no introduction, but this guy has had a storied career. You started way back. I was reading the intro of the book, and I was like, wow, okay, all right. This guy served as a U.S. Army broadcast specialist in Vietnam. Were you alongside Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam?
No. Broadcast start.
Worked for WLWT TV in Cincinnati, not WKRP in Cincinnati. All right. You caused the Reds game, and also you covered college basketball and hockey, right? When you were there, were the Cincinnati, they still have that NBA team? The Royals, were they in the NBA?
Got there right when they were leaving town.
Okay.
Kansas City.
All right, okay. So he worked for the Reds from 76 to 82, and then 10 years, right?
Well,
5 years later.
5 years later, okay, Browning will get in on that, but, he's wrote a great book about, the Big Red Machine. Here's my copy. So. The 50th, the Cincinnati Reds of the 1970s. Some have argued that the Astros golden era kind of resembles this. Okay, so we all know him as Astros Hall of Famer. Everybody, Bill Brown. Okay.
Thanks, y'all. Great to see you guys. And I know it's been a while since I've been here, so I apologize for hanging out in Cyprus with Greg Moore. We love it out there, but we don't often leave Cyprus, so. Good to see you. And why in the world do we need another book about the Cincinnati Reds? That became the question. And, you know, there have been a lot of books written. We're gonna see this show here soon. Showing you, ready?
Oh, okay. Yeah, here. I'm gonna share its PowerPoint.
So I didn't know whether to write this book or not. I mean, there was certainly reason to write it, but so many books have been written about the Reds. That was the question. Have we exhausted this topic? Or is there something else? And so I checked with a couple of people in Cincinnati who've been around since the 70s up there. And I said, yeah, but you'd have to do a different angle than has already been done. So, have any of you read any of these books? Game 6, this is a classic. Yeah, Mark Frost. Great baseball book. And when it came out over here on the, you can't really see much of it. It's probably Hustle. It's on the lower right. A year ago, that's excellent. Big Red Machine books. So the topic has been covered very thoroughly down through the years. Why do we need a book? Well, this is the 50th year of the 76 World Series, which they won, and they swept the postseason, which is rare, as you know. And they did celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 75 World Series last year. So in Cincinnati, what they decided to do was celebrate both those years together last year. I don't know why they did it that way, but they're not doing a big deal with having reunion of players this year because they already did that last year. So I want to do my own little statement on it. And what I was told was, well, if you're going to do this book, you have to come at it from an angle of memories that you had that maybe other people did not write about. So that's what I try to do, was to put a little different slant on things, but also the general perspective of this is one of the great teams of all time. You guys might not think of it that way, but I decided to begin with one of the foremost authorities on dynasties, Ted Meyer. And I got Ted's book off the bookshelf, started reading. Okay, how do you define a dynasty? So he did that very, very well in his book. And I also went back through the 70s, and I was looking back through today. And of course, some of you may think the Oakland Athletics were the team of the 70s. Some of you think the Baltimore Orioles were the team of the 70s. Pittsburgh Pirates, the Dodgers were good. Yes. So, you know, you may go another way with your choice of the team of the 70s. The Reds won the most games in that decade, if that does anything for you. But I'm not going to go into everything because it's in the book, but you know what they did. You know, they were in 4 World Series. They won 2. They were in other playoff series. They and one in 74 when the Dodgers won the Western Division, the Reds won a bunch of games. And so they had that great rivalry going with the Dodgers throughout the 70s. And it was really one of the best things in baseball, I thought, for that decade. But they were just built for that style of baseball, which we'll go into as we move along here. So let's see what's next. Yeah.
How many former Astros?
Well, we go into the Joe Morgan trade in great depth. And of course, we had Geronimo and Billingham and Armlister. Yeah, so That was certainly one of the big, I think Morgan was really the catalyst, and that is what you will hear from a lot of people because the other guys were there. Bench was there, Rose was there, Perez was there, Billingham was there, Gullett was there, etc. Griffey, yeah, they were all, yeah, Foster, they were all there. And Morgan got there and they became better. So there they are with the World Series winning teams and the pennants. And the MVPs are interesting too. You had Bench in 70 and 72, Morgan in 73 and 75. No, Morgan in 75, 76, Rose was in 73. And then in 76, Foster was in 77. Yeah. So those were their MVPs in those years. And then this team of Bob Howsam, Sparky Anderson. And Bob had come from Denver, where he had run a minor league team successfully there with his family. They owned the team. They built a stadium on the city dump. They bought the land on the city dump, built a baseball stadium where they played, and then they had a football team, which turned out to be the Denver Broncos, AFL, and they came in. And but it just didn't work out, so they had to sell the team because financially they weren't able to make it. But Howsam, during his time running the baseball team, learned a lot because of his affiliation with, first of all, the Pirates, with Branch Rickey running their organization. And then they switched their affiliate status to the Yankees affiliate, and he learned a lot from the people who ran the Yankees. So this is how he got his grounding in terms of learning the sport and in terms of looking for talent, scouting players and hiring scouts. So the whole thing wound up evolving that Howsam was looking for speed primarily when he got to Cincinnati. He had been in St. Louis before that. And you remember Lou Brock, but ironically, when Howsam was hired in St. Louis, it was late in the '64 season. It was in August. And they fired the general manager. They brought him in. Well, Lou Brock had joined the team earlier that year. So Howsam, one of the speediest players of all time, Howsam did not acquire him. He was already there when he got to St. Louis. But when he was there for St. Louis for a few years, he started trading some of the established stars on the team. So he was not a real popular guy there. But the Reds had been fielding good teams. Tal Smith was there, as you know, in the late 50s. He left in 60 to come here to Houston. And they just didn't have much of a budget. They had some big sluggers like Frank Robinson. And, Rose came up, and they had some other really good players, Vada Pinson, etc. But the pitching was never really good enough for them to be a playoff team. And they wanted to take that leap into playoff status. And so they hired Howsam away from the Cardinals. He started hiring scouts. The Reds had just a few scouts when he came. And he looked for scouts who could recognize talent. They could scout for speed, but also players who could, if they couldn't hit well enough to be an everyday player, at least they could be a utility guy. And so they were basing things on speed, because speed will do a lot, even players who don't hit that well. If they can bunt, if they can hit the ball on the ground, back in those days, they could be valuable to me. So that's where he based his whole assembling the team thought behind that. He had the talent and Bench and Perez and the other guys who were there. But the trade for Morgan was really the catalyst to bring that additional speed and power to what they already had. So, that's what happened with Sparky, that he came in and he was able to utilize that speed, was able to let the core of the team just play. And sure, I mean, they would bunt, they would hit run, they would do the traditional things, they'd sacrifice, but they had power. They were an explosive offensive team. they were not known so much for their pitching, but you don't win without pitching. So I think in many ways, their pitching was not given the proper credit for what it did. But anyway, Sparky, and if you read the book, you'll see pitchers were not big fans of Sparky. They didn't feel that they were kept in games long enough. And they wanted to stay in these ball games longer, but Sparky was Captain Hook. So when he had the bullpen that he did, his strategy was to get that bullpen in the game if they had a lead after the fifth inning. And that's normally what he did. Larry Dierker had a great, Lou, great question.
You know, the catcher on the bench,
Right.
did the bench have any input?
Oh, huge. Bench had a lot of input. So one thing Sparky did really well was identify the fact that he had these superstar players. He had Bench, he had Rose, he had Perez, he had Morgan. And he told the team in spring training, 75, these guys have their own rules. The rest of you have to earn that. So he definitely had a two-tiered system. But if there was ever any big decision that had to be made, he would call those 4 players in. Well, what do you think about trading for this player? You like this guy? And he would take their opinion up to the general manager, Bob Housen. And that's what they would do. The players had a lot of input, and the star players could do whatever they wanted, but the other guys weren't treated the same. So he definitely had different rules for different people. And the pitchers generally were not big fans. But that's just the way he ran things. He wasn't in it for a popularity contest. And yet, when we got to 75, because they had lost the World Series in 70 to Baltimore, they lost the World Series in 72 to Oakland in Game 7 by 1 run on a misplayed fly ball in Bobby Toller. And they get to 75 now, and 73 they lost the playoffs to the Mets. 74 they had a good year but didn't make the playoffs. So now 75, the players been there for a while, and they are feeling the need to win a World Series because some of the guys are getting a little older, and the pressure was kind of self-induced on their part. They really felt like they needed to put things together, and they wound up doing it, but it was not easy at all. So Sparky made the biggest decision he made in his whole career there was, so opening day of 75, the left fielder was Pete Rose. The third baseman was John Vukovich. John Vukovich didn't hit anywhere any of the 8 years he played in the big leagues. In fact, he hit 211 in 75. That was his highest batting average. But Bob Housen had traded for him, and he told Sparky, well, look, he can make the plays at third base, and we've got enough offense on the team. Well, it wasn't really going that way. In 75, they didn't have enough offense. And Vukovich was not playing well at third base. So in May of 75, Sparky, during batting practice, proposed to Pete Rose that he move from left field to third base. And that's what transformed the whole team, other than the addition of Morgan earlier, because that got George Foster in the lineup at left field and got another slugger in there. And Rose, even though he was not the prototypical third baseman, he was an all-star at 5 different positions. He worked his tail off, and he learned how to play an acceptable third base. It's not a great third base, but I'll never forget. You guys remember the 76 World Series with the Yankees? And so Mickey Rivers was the leadoff man. Mick the Quick, speedy, one of the speediest guys in baseball. He'd bunt down the third base line. He'd get on, he'd steal second, he'd score. Well, Sparky said to Pete, we've been scouting him, and he hits a lot of balls to the left of second base. That's what he's trying to do. So we want you to play as close as you possibly can to home plate to get in his head and take that approach away from him. And Pete, I swear to you, he was like 50 feet from home plate. It was absolutely incredible how close. I've never seen anybody playing that close to home plate. And you'd have to think about compiling your last will and testament, because this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's reaction time being that close. And I think that probably is what Mickey Rivers was thinking. I'm going to line the ball off his head. We'll get him out of here. And they just totally got in his head. And he did not hit that World Series. The Yankees got swept. And it was a pretty daring move. It really was. But that's one of my memories about 76. And the other one was I was just sitting in the press box, auxiliary press box, because I was just doing interviews. I wasn't doing any broadcasting during the games. So they happened to put me next to Dick Schaap, who was the sports editor of Sport Magazine. And Sport Magazine gave the award for the World Series MVP. And it was pretty much Dick Schaap, and then he would appoint a committee of other sports writing buddies of his to vote on this. That person would be the MVP of the World Series. And he wasn't sure what he was going to do. So Johnny Bench hit his second homer of game 4. He said, "Oh, now I got my MVP." And yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Did Bench get a new Corvette?
Well, that's a great question, because I asked him when I interviewed him, and asked him about the trophy or what. And he said, "Well, and he's got another wife now, so she was asking him, well, where's your trophy for the 76 World Series?" He said, "Well, I didn't get a trophy." She said, "Really? What did you get?" He said, "I got a car." She said, "Oh, well, what kind of car did you get?" He said, "Well, I got a Ford pickup, because the previous year, the winner of the World Series MVP, who was Pete Rose, by the way, got a Corvette, and there was some kind of flap between Major League Baseball and Chevrolet. Some kind of sponsorship disagreement was happening. So Chevrolet said, we're not going to sponsor World Series MVP anymore. So they went to Ford, and Ford said, yes, okay, well, we'll do that. And so they gave him a pickup for 1 year.
Wow.
He got to drive it for 1 year. So he gave it to his brother, said, here, you drive this for a year. And he turned it back in, and he got a letter from Ford charging him $500 for the dings that his brother put in the truck. So that's your World Series MVP. Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we've got going here. Okay, so, and Johnny is always a great interview. Is he the greatest catcher of all time? Well, he's certainly in the conversation. Who do you guys, who's your favorite? Yogi Berra? Who's, you think Bench?
Bench.
I think Bench. I'm prejudiced for being around him for several years. But I mean, when you look at the power that he had and the arm that he
The thing
had.
about it was, he was hurt in 72, he had that lung thing where it cut through his chest, and it took his power away from him. And he basically had to remake himself as more of a defensive catcher. So
Exactly
even
right.
with that, so.
Exactly right. And so when I talked to him, he said, well, after 72, I was not the same player again. He said it was a matter of 4 inches. He said with what they took out of my lung and my rib cage, those last 4 inches that the pitch was traveling, I didn't have the same reaction time that I had prior. That's what I didn't have. And so obviously his numbers were affected. I remember 76, his shoulder was killing him. And I did an interview with him that I still remember, before the playoffs. And he had had a crummy year. He said, "Hey, look, I'm just gonna concentrate on my defense for the playoffs here. And that's my job now." And winds up exploding in the World Series, being the MVP. So. But,
We know Vince is the guy that went to the one-hand catch,
yes,
protecting your throwing hands. And then David Concepcion is the guy that played the one-hop throw to first off of the AstroTurf.
that is
That's
correct.
the thing. That's two things Brett did during that iteration of transcended.
That's correct. And that's why I think Johnny was definitely the trendsetter among catchers because, Thurman Munson was very, very good. But Bench with his one-handed style, and he was like a shortstop playing catcher. He'd take a throw from the outfield, slap a tag down just like a shortstop or second baseman do on a stolen base attempt at second. He just had that great ability and coordination, be able to handle everything with one hand like that. So for me, he's the best. And there's not much of an argument for me. All right, let's see what else we've got here. And then, of course, Joe Morgan. And Tal was great in the book, and Larry Dierker was great in the book at talking about this Joe Morgan trade. And they kind of, that's what to me was different about this book from the other ones. That what I tried to do was say, well, let's, I'm going to interview the guys I can get to with the Reds. Some of them kind of talked out. They've been interviewed so many times. And some of them I just couldn't get to. But let's talk to some people with teams that competed against them. So Dierker was great. Tal Smith was great in terms of the trade for Morgan. And just competing against the Reds. And Tal talked about Housen with his style as general manager, with looking for the little details about players. And, the Reds were a very tightly run organization. There wouldn't have been anybody writing anything on caps. There wouldn't have been any kind of individualism whatsoever on that team. The big deal was the players got to wear white shoes when they were on the All-Star team. The rest of the time, nothing but black, nothing but black. And so, what's that? She was not then, no. No, I think she owned 5% of the team or something, but now she.
Why did we get with Joe Morgan?
Well,
What else?
Lee May was the guy,
Tommy Helms.
Tommy Helms, but Lee May was the guy the Astros really wanted. And then because they were trading Morgan, they wanted Helms to replace Morgan, and then
Jimmy
Jimmy
Stewart.
Stewart.
Well, I
Jimmy
thought
Stewart's
they
great.
went through it.
No, he came to.
Yeah, but and then the other thing, so then Tal said he didn't know anything about the trade. He was running the minor leagues. And Spec Richardson was the GM, didn't tell him anything about this deal. And so at the winter meetings, Joe Heiling of the Houston Post comes up to him, "What do you think about the Morgan trades?" Anything about that. And he told him about it. He said, "Well, Morgan's going to be an MVP of the league." Tal's pretty insightful in many ways. And then he said, once he talked to Spec about the trade, he said to Spec, "Well, you might as well trade John Mayberry now if you got Lee May here." And Mayberry's way is blocked to the major leagues. He's ready to go now. So they trade him to Kansas City, where he becomes a 250 home run hitter in his career. It was a series of building blocks all falling down.
Who did we get from Mayberry?
Jim York. I think.
Great trades.
Yeah, that one worked out well, real well. So,
His Kirk left it, the way on.
but this is the Astros organization was just being so poorly run, and Harry Walker was the world's worst manager. Yeah, so it was horrible. It's very, very poorly run.
Interesting thing you said earlier about Al left in the '60s, but he left after the '60 season. You said Cincinnati didn't do much, but they went to the World Series in '61.
That's true.
Al talked to us last year at the base Cowboy, and then he left the Yankees in '75 and built that team up.
Yeah. Right.
And he came back to the Astros, but '76 Yankees were the ones that lost in the World Series to Cincinnati.
That's right. That's right.
But they're going in 77, 78.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Cal built both of those World Series teams.
Yeah.
In the West before they made the World Series.
And oftentimes that happens in sports. The guy who really built the foundation of the team moves on for whatever reason, and then they win after he leaves. And he doesn't get the proper credit. Happens.
You know, you talk about the gold gloves there, Morgan, and that's an underrated aspect of that team with their defense and their run prevention ability. And when you look at up the middle of that team with Morgan and Concepcion and Finch, center fielder, they had, I don't know how many gold gloves in center. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they were just stopping other teams from scoring. And that's what we did in those years that we were really
Battery
good.
50%.
They did that.
I talked to Jack Bellingham for a long time.
About the ADS.
Jack was one of the best pitchers on the Reds. And he had a habit of when he delivered the pitch, he'd fall off to the first base side like this. And so different pitching coaches had tried to work with him on, hey, come square here, be ready to field the ball. And when he would try that, he'd get blasted. So well, I don't have that movement. I've got to be able to get out here and finish the pitch so it moves a little bit. If it's a slider, it'll break a little bit more. And that's what I need to do. And so in Cincinnati, they said, well, don't worry about it. Just do that. Well, he had Concepcion behind him playing shortstop that could field all the ground balls up the middle that Jack didn't have to field. And Morgan was there too. And I don't know if you guys remembered this, but they were kind of pioneers, I thought, Concepcion and Morgan, in the way they worked together. So Joe was, legitimate Gold Glover. He didn't have the strongest arm. But what he would do on a ball hit up the middle is he'd move to his right, he'd glove it like this, just flip it. And Concepcion's coming the other way, he bare hands it and throws it on first base. And they did that, I don't know how many times they worked that play, but it was magical to watch that. Yeah, Jim.
I mean, you saw these guys every day. TV wasn't like that in the '70s. But to me, the thing that impressed me, you touched on some of this, is how strong they were, and nobody writes about how strong they were fundamentally.
Yep. There's no doubt about that. And they, in spring training, you couldn't really see it. They just hit. They didn't kill themselves working on fundamentals, but they just did it in games. They didn't need to practice it a whole lot. They just did it. But yeah.
See, I mean, you were talking about Sparky Anderson earlier with quick hook. He didn't manage that way in Detroit.
True.
And so I think, what's remarkable about him is that he really played with the strengths of the team more than, what the way he wanted to manage, this is the way I'm gonna stand.
That's exactly right.
Well, he did use Lopez and Hernandez a lot when he was with Tigers.
Yes, he did.
Hernandez, Senior Smoke.
Yeah.
He used it a lot.
Yeah, well,
Started with the Reds, he had that white hair, he was 37 years old.
yeah. He was a really great guy.
It's like,
But Joe, I mean, with the year that Joe had in Cincinnati, and then another one and another one and another one, he just kept piling on his excellence and getting better and better. And it's, I think you find this among the great players, are not satisfied. And so what was happening all the time in the clubhouse was Rose, and this comes out too in the book of, so Rose and Morgan would always be comparing their stats and talking about, well, I had 3 hits last night, you had 1, and they were always engaging in this byplay. And then Tony Perez would come up and he would just, to me, he was the glue in the clubhouse. Because he would just level everybody. Just, what are you guys talking about? Did we win the game? No. So who cares how many hit, and if just get on base, I'll drive you in, we'll win. That's what it's about. And that's what it came down to. And that's what he did. He had 9 straight years with 90 RBIs. And he was just, if you had asked anybody, you asked bench, you ask any of those guys, who would you rather have at the plate with the game on the line? They would all say Tony Perez, every single one of them. The guy was an incredible clutch hitter. And when they traded him after the 76 season, things began going downhill.
How did the GM not pick up on the fact that he was the glue of the team?
Well, they had a problem. Free agency had arrived in 76. So they didn't think they could pay everybody the price of winning. And they felt like Dan Dreesen was ready to play first base, so they had an acceptable replacement. They thought Tony was old. And that's why they made that. Man, so yeah, Housen, he wasn't perfect. He didn't do everything right. Who in baseball who lasts for a while as a general manager is?
Did he play third?
Tony Perez did play third early in his career, yeah.
In big home run against the Red Sox.
Then Vukovich took third.
Vukovich was at third base, beginning of, so I talked to Ray Knight. So Ray was, he was injured when that year in 75. So he would have been in the mix to be the third baseman, but he was injured spring training. So he said Vukovich got sent down. And Ray was the third baseman in Indianapolis, AAA. Vukovich shows up, he'd been sent down and get him out of the way so Rose could play third, Foster could play left. And so Vukovich said something to Ray Knight. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, Ray, yeah. He said, Ray, do you have an apartment here or a house? He said, I have an apartment. He said, well, you might as well think about buying a house because you ain't going to Cincinnati. So Pete Rose just moved to third base tonight. Okay, so let's see what's next here. And it is the doggy, Tony Perez. And he continued to produce. They traded him to Montreal after 76. The other thing that was the impetus for that trade was that Don Gullett was a free agent. He was a hard throwing lefty, and he was really the best pitcher they had, even though in 76 he had been hurt. So his numbers weren't that great. He only won 11 games that year. But Perez went to Montreal, and the Reds felt they needed a left-handed starter to replace Gullett, so they traded for Woody Fryman and Dale Murray. But yeah, Perez, 7-time All-Star, another Hall of Famer, and then he went on. You remember that it was Rose and Morgan and Perez with the 83 Phillies. They got reunited with 83 Phillies. They're still going, yeah, in 83, they're still going strong. Okay. So here he is, and we could talk about this all night long. But I wanted to see what you guys think about Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
They're gonna let Joe Jackson.
You like Jackson in before Rose though?
Well, I don't care.
So Brownie, who should go in first? Joe Jackson or Pete Rose?
I'd say Joe Jackson because
Yeah, but but that's not.
what Pete's.
That's not the question. Who should go in first?
Well, Pete can't go in for another 2 years because it goes to a veterans committee. They're not meeting for another 2 years.
Go next.
Next year, 27, I think.
The league takes money and advertises draft teams every damn day.
There you go.
And then they don't want their players to do what they're promoting every day on TV. Who's gonna make the big hits this and have 4,000 hits from anyone play?
Yeah. very hypocritical.
It's, you know, with this commissioner. It's gonna hurt the game too, except eliminate.
I hope they haul him into Congress, for a few things. One thing I would like to see him ask is about streaming games that are costing fans extra money. And I think they will address that with him. And then the other thing is, when the hell are you guys getting involved with controversial causes? You know, putting things on the mound, promoting certain political movements and putting things on caps. I think it's wrong. I don't think it should happen. Okay.
But, I mean, hold on, Brian, hold on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, by all accounts, Heroes, yes, definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. But if any of y'all looked at the Dow report and what he did.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's why I asked who should go in first, Joe Jackson or Pete Rose?
We got more here.
Yeah, but we know what Pete Rose did.
Yeah, he lied to me 3 times. Joe Jackson was the pick, didn't read or write.
Yes.
He got convicted on the sex.
That's the hall.
Oh, it's just a display.
He took the money. He said he would.
Well, the issue though,
Maybe the way down.
even if I get on the whole team,
Right.
that's insider free.
Jimmy says Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. He has a picture of Susan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's all over the Hall of Fame.
There's more job.
But here's, you know, we can all make up our own reasons, but for me, if you're talking about players who use steroids, they cheated.
Right.
He never did that.
Right, how about the owners that put them and gave them stuff and said, here, go out and bulge up a little bit, hit the long ball, but it's them after the strike.
But Sealy's in the Hall of Fame. No,
What about the breed there?
That's the same.
He got
thing.
closed, so.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a football situation.
And the whole thing is, all that stuff was.
You're right, all night, right? Go ahead. Frank, what you said?
All of that, there's not a PED made that can make you hit a baseball. There's not a PED made that can make you throw a strike. What it can do is it can cause you to build more false muscle and it can cause you to rehabilitate with history.
But it doesn't sharpen your focus though?
No, once you get the ball, so. The Weeks Gonzalez went from a fly out, ground ball power to 51 over there in Arizona. He's never been accused. But his biceps got 8 inches.
And he just went from one pencil.
Well, who knows?
All right.
But
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Well, because the green was the large reaction.
But if you want to argue all the things, you gotta argue it. In February decade, when they were all doing the green stuff like that, everybody was doing it. When they were all doing steroids, everybody was doing it. So, I mean, but you can't go in and compare one decade against another decade.
No, I'm not saying, they're just saying. You go in.
I do too.
Those can't go in, another 2 years, it said, so must just get it over with and get your wins.
All right, here we go. That's okay, Tony. Sorry, I can go all over.
How much, well, the salaries, yeah, I have a page in the book on the salaries of the Reds from '76, so the highest paid players were making $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. What year was that?
76.
What would that be today?
I don't know, minimum salary was 19.
But they were making, how much? And in 71 or 2, the rookies were making 6,000.
Minimum bill.
Minimum today is what, so it went up 6,000.
70, I think.
Minimum 70,
Oh, yeah.
There's cash.
minimum 70,000?
Minimum now is 770,000.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more next year.
When Rose left Cincinnati in '79. I went to the. It was obviously really big. Part of the news was they doubled his salary. His salary's been $400,000 in 78. And so they gave me $800,000. They come and play for the show.
Man, what's it supposed to be?
No, so these guys kind of got, they kind of got lost in the shuffle, you know, Foster shouldn't have been. 348 homers.
Never understood how that skinny body generated power.
He had a 31 waist.
Wow.
George. The guy lifted weights, you know, not many players were lifting heavy weights in those days. He was.
Yeah.
He was.
Who did we trade to get him? Giants.
Oh, that was, yeah. Frank Duffy and Vern Gashert. Yeah. It was a pretty good trade that Housen made there. Griffey, was an outstanding player. He kind of got lost in the shuffle. One of the interesting things I ran across for this book was that Sparky went to Griffey and said, when Morgan is hitting behind you, I don't want you running. Because Joe doesn't like that. It's a distraction for him.
Oh.
So they shut him down on the running game. But sometimes Griffey batted seventh, and if he batted seventh, he could run all he wanted. But he was one of the fastest guys in the league. So he could have done more statistically than he did. Concepcion, I thought was a brilliant shortstop. You know, I went back through, maybe you guys have another favorite. Greg and I were talking about this on the way down from the 70s on the shortstops. For me, he should be in the Hall of Fame because of what you were talking about. Comparatively with the era, you know, you had some good shortstops. You had Bowie, you had Bill Russell, you know, but Ozzie Smith didn't come along till later in the 70s. So I don't know, Ted, what you found, but for me, he's, you know, Johnny Bench said he thought he should be a Hall of Famer. I think I don't know why he's not. 950 runs batted in for a shortstop, and
In that era.
yeah, in that era, 9-time All-Star. Yeah, I thought he was a brilliant shortstop.
Was his average?
I don't know what his average was. That was probably about that. Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. And then Geronimo, you know, in 76, he hit 307. He was hitting 8th that year. That's how powerful this team was. And you know, yeah, and you know, speedy guy, he caught everything in center field. And this also is what you were talking about. The up the middle defense is off the charts for this team.
Yeah.
The
strongest arm in the outfit.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Well, so there they were. Winning 108 games in 75. Team batting average 271. That looks pretty good today. 6 pitchers, double figures of wins. 76, they didn't win as many games, but they swept the postseason.
Do they have any 20 games?
No. Gary Nolan won 15, I think, 1 year.
Yeah,
Jim
Billingham won 15.
Raleigh Eastwing would have led.
So what was
Yeah.
their earned average?
I don't know offhand.
Was it below the average? Probably, right? So they didn't get this close.
Their bullpen was, you know, Bourbon was totally underrated. He could pitch in any situation. He'd pitch 5 days in a row if they want. He didn't care. Clay Carroll was very good.
Raleigh Eastwick.
Will McEnany.
Belong.
Yeah.
I'm here.
And, you know, I talked to Eastwick and McEnany and they both said, well, you know, Sparky sometimes would use us against other-handed hitters. Yeah, we never knew when we were coming into a game, really. He'd bring and let Eastwick face left-handed hitters. He'd bring me in, face right-handed hitters, you know. It wasn't a percentage move for Sparky at all. But he always had, and those guys didn't get hurt until they left the Reds. Eastwick got a big contract with the Yankees. He broke down. But they were, you know, Eastwick said, hey, we were ready every day. ready to go. It might be 4 hitters, it might be 3 innings.
Wasn't position players played every day. Rose played 162, I think, in 76.
Yeah.
And most of the position players played 145 or more. They didn't get hurt at all.
Bench was not used very much. Doug Flynn was a good bench player, but yeah, they didn't, Sparky did not. Well, Bench told his story. He was talking to Sparky one day. They were in the middle of the season. He said, Sparky, when am I gonna get a day off? And Sparky said, well, you know, we've got the Dodgers this weekend. And then we're gonna go to play the Cubs after that. They're in a pretty good stretch right now. After that, we got the Mets. You know how well they pitch. And then we got to go on a trip to, and he said, so in other words, I'm not getting a day off, am I? And he said, no. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we have. So here we go with Gullett, with Nolan, Billingham, Norman, Zachary, and Santo Alcala was a rookie who won 11 games in 76. Yeah, and you probably never heard of him, but he did a quick flame out. Well, look at his ERA, 4.70. So you know they scored some runs for him. And you know, these guys wanted to stay in games longer. Nolan was pitching hurt for years. I thought, for me, one of the most insightful interviews in the book was with the trainer, Larry Starr, because he said, in the 70s, we didn't have throwing programs of pitchers. And he said, when we got SABR in 77, he said, he was the only pitcher, I think, in the 70s that I knew of who had any kind of winter throwing program. He said he had a house in Connecticut, and he had a barn, and he would nail up this mattress and draw a strike zone on it, and throw a bucket of balls against it. And then he'd kind of increase every time he threw, he'd throw a few more balls. That's how he got ready for spring training, did a lot of work on his legs, on the bike and everything like that. But he said, he's the only guy I ever heard of that, any kind of. He said, we didn't know anything about the pitching arm then. You know, Tommy John surgery came along in 74 with Dr. Frank Jobe. But till then, he said there weren't really any specialists like that for baseball. It was more of a football thing. That we didn't have really a training program of any kind for these players. So he started all that, and he got there. He was the first trainer to be certified, and he was a young guy. But they wanted to clear the decks, and so they put him in charge of the program, and he got to all those machines, and they spent the money on those, and got the players in better shape. Where they went from there. But yeah, so the pitchers, these guys were generally healthy, but Jack Billingham told me that one time his shoulder was killing him, so they flew him back to Cincinnati between starts. He talked to the team doctor. The doctor said, well, okay, I'll give you an injection. So he gave him a shot. They sent him right back out. He took his turn the next couple days. That's the way they did it then. These days, you gotta be down for at least 3 days. They wouldn't let him through.
Raleigh used to have 11 wins,
Yes, Raleigh had 11 wins.
plus the 25 saves.
That's right. That's exactly right. So he'll be on the next slide here. So there you go, 11 wins. And McEnany told me a great story. You see, Bourbon even had 8 saves. He pitched 121 innings that year. And Sarmiento did well out of the bullpen too. McEnany told me a great story about that game in 75. You remember that World Series game when there was a double play in Fenway on a short fly ball to left field, and Denny Doyle was, yeah, pretty far. So Denny Doyle was the runner at third, and Don Zimmer was the coach for the Red Sox, and George Foster caught the ball about 20 steps behind third base, and so Doyle tagged and he took off for home. Zimmer was saying, no, and
Go, go.
Doyle thought he was telling him go, so he was dead meat, so Bench takes him out at home plate, and well, McEnany was a pitcher. So double play, and there weren't any outs in the inning, so he's walking back out to the mound. Bench won't give him the ball. After tagging the runner at home plate, he won't give him the ball. So Bench made him walk in, and he said, "You crossed me up. Better not ever do that." I said, "Hey, Johnny, sometimes screw ups work out pretty well." So the end of that.
Well, Foster ended up with the called his home run again.
Yeah.
Kept it.
He sold it apparently, because I talked to Pat Darcy, who was the pitcher who gave it up. He said, "I found out later George sold that ball." That might be the last one.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay,
I'll leave it up there.
any other questions?
I got one. I was just gonna throw an anecdote.
All right, so. Did you, what about you play, guys? What is the general feeling of the fact that Cincinnati no longer
Not happy. That was a big deal for us.
got parade and everything?
Oh, it was a-
Y'all were the first team to play.
I put in the book, one year I bought my wife a charm for opening day, went down to the gift shop, and they had this little gold charm for a charm bracelet, and it had, Reds cap and the Astros cap for opening day. It had the date of opening day, what year it was, all in color and everything. It was a huge deal, you know? And nobody else was doing these things. It wasn't, you know, opening day was not anywhere near. And they had a parade through downtown. Players, coaches weren't involved. They were at the ballpark, but they had a lot of people involved in the parade. And so, no, but you know, it's a different feel when you're up north, so to speak. You've been waiting all winter for baseball to come around. Now it's finally here. And the last summer's not too far away. Why did the league do it? Well, the Reds were the first professional team.
So why did they not continue?
Because of ESPN coming along and saying, well, we want the opener, and we want it on Sunday night or whatever. And TV, tail wags the dog. Yep.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Any good stories or memories about Riverfront Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, Riverfront was a pretty plastic stadium. I thought it was great. But I put a thing in the book about the Zamboni. You know, we had all these rain delays, and we had this big Zamboni machine that would clear the field of the water, you know, and spew it out into the seats at center field. And that was the entertainment for rain delays. So there were a lot of rain delays there. But, you know, they had a string of, I don't know how many years in a row without a rain out. One night they started the game at 10:30. Yeah. And they were just fanatical about not losing playing dates, because back in those days, it cost you revenue. You had to play a regular doubleheader, old-fashioned doubleheader, so 2 games for the price of 1. And they didn't create the split doubleheaders until later on. Yeah. Yeah. So, but, you know, a lot of great, you know, Henry Aaron hit his 714th there opening day. In 74, I was there for that. And so there are a lot of those playoff games. Yeah.
What year did you start there?
I started there, well, we moved there in 72, but I didn't start doing the games till 76.
You know, Riverfront 75.
They moved into Riverfront in 70 for the All-Star game, midway through the season. Because it wasn't ready to be open, but yeah.
I ever heard stories about the economics of the Reds? From Crosley, switching to Riverfront, and did that change the salary structure of the players and all?
I don't know too much about the salary structure changing. It's a good question. I didn't really look into that. I don't think it changed, because back in those days, you know, Johnny Bench one time went in and he signed a blank contract. He just got tired of fighting him. And he said he wound up getting more money than he was going to ask for. So,
Well, they're tight. He's friends, Frank Robinson, same issue.
yeah, they were very, very tight. Yeah, very tight with the buck.
Al asked me a question yesterday at lunch, and I was gonna ask you, I didn't know anything about it, but he said they're considering not. MLB's not gonna draft high school players anymore, like Dierker or Al Kaline, and that's the latest. And for 2 years, so that maybe college can be a minor league for them, or what's your
Well,
thoughts on that?
that's a proposal, right, from.
Yes, proposal.
Yeah.
That's a proposal. Yeah,
Who's driving them?
I don't know.
I hadn't heard anything about it. What's your-
Crane drove the elimination of 20 rounds of the draft.
Yeah, I think it's all cost cutting.
And he and Montfort, those are the two big hand-eyes for the draft.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen his name associated with this.
I can only assume it's about cost cutting.
Well, plus college players not gonna make NIL money on it.
That's true.
That's another thing.
Some of those guys may stick around in college and make more money.
I can't really hear him, so what is the deal?
I don't know. I just read that one story about it, but I haven't read the rationale behind it. I'm not really tapped in anymore. Yep.
Any more questions? Yeah, so, the day before the state convention starts, I'm taking people to Cincinnati, so they hear the ballpark, trying to get off the ballpark scene. July 28th, I don't know, there aren't many greenways of green here at the ballpark.
No.
I don't.
I think it-
That's what you have to do. Remember that, right? It's all in 1 year now. I remember when I was in college and I was able to watch the Reds broadcast, podcasts. How many games did they broadcast?
Well, we only did about 45 games a year. And the Reds did not want home games.
Yes.
They just felt that,
The most of the people, they're pretty.
well, it was almost all road games. And they try to do weekend road games if they could, but they do a Tuesday night, kind of. Well, it was so different then because we were an NBC affiliate, and so it kind of depended on what the NBC programming was too. Thank you, guys.
You got books for sale?
I had some books right here. Yes,
How
sir.
much are they?
They're
Thank you.
$15.
If you would like a autographed Cincinnati Reds of the 1970s, Bill Brown has some copies right here, $15. He will even sign it for you. So at least I think, but you know what? I hate to, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot this, but we forgot to introduce our guests. So if you are a guest, if this is the first time you are here, either stand up, introduce yourself, or have the person who brought you stand up and introduce you. John Lloyd, go ahead.
These guys have been here before, but two of my good friends, baseball nuts, Del Fisher, he knows the shoe size of any player, never played the game, knows everything about. He's a trivia guy.
Trivia guy.
Knows it all.
Well, my money's on him.
And anyways, Del Fisher, he worked with him in Shell. He's a big baseball fan. And I've gotten here a few times and can't get him to,
Big ass.
join up, but
I'll take that.
he comes occasionally.
He's a big ass.
Yeah. And then this is Paul Rollin, I also bring to a few meetings, and he watches every sport on TV known to man. And he watches about every out in the Astros. So
He watches every sport known to man.
yeah, he does.
Okay. All right. What's your thoughts on curling?
Baseball.
What's your thoughts on curling?
He probably knows about it.
Actually, curling's a great game.
Curling is a great game. Fred, who's your guest, Fred?
Oh, I found him on the street.
Where in Nashville State? Look him up.
Right down the road, he said, I'm on it. JD Vance. Dennis?
Oh, yes, JD Vance, Mr. Vice President. Thank you.
Next to John.
I can see that.
Dennis is a longtime baseball man. Yep. And he's no kin to Isaiah Thomas.
No kidding, I say.
Yes. I met Fred here for a business meeting, and I think, first time we met, out of an hour and 10-minute conversation, it was an hour of baseball, Astros baseball, Longhorns baseball, because we're fellow Longhorns, and fantasy baseball. And then we talked 10 minutes of business and home.
Welcome.
That's a priority.
Thank you all for coming. All right, okay, I have one final question from the group. Long time ago, when I was in the military, my future ex-wife, my second wife, not my wife I'm married to now. All right. She was my future. She would become my future ex-wife. She said, Joe, you know who you look like? Like, no. You look like P. Rose. So. Was she wrong?
I would bet on it.
Was she wrong?
And you hit like.
Was she wrong?
Were you thinner then?
Of course I was thinner. But P. Rose was never. P. Rose was never. You saying I'm fat? Okay, Mike. Thank you very much. You know, actually, I think me and P. Rose are about the same size. You know, when we were playing. So. So it's a funny little anecdote before. You know, I want everybody to laugh because now. Put your thinking caps on. We have a trivia contest. And remember, the winners tonight will get a copy of Brownie's book, if there's any books left.
And a free beer.
I'll get you a copy of Brownie's book, and or I will get you. You can choose a 2025 Fayetteville Woodpeckers baseball card set or one of these cups I got on my North Carolina trip. So let's have our trivia contest, Scott. And those of you online, I didn't make the trivia, so Scott will have to read it for you.
Okay, so today is my wedding anniversary.
Sorry to hear that.
In fact, I am only here because my wife is on travel.
You're still married.
Yes.
This is your 35 or your fourth wife?
Thank you very much.
On travel. So all of these questions are related to June 22nd.
All of these questions are related to June 22nd. So those of you online, Scott's going to go ahead and read the question. All right. Usually we have a PowerPoint ready for you, but I didn't do that today. I'm sorry. I just came back.
Okay, number one.
Scott,
Yes.
stand in front of that picture, Texas Slate.
Okay, number one. Here we go.
This former Astros hurler threw a no-hitter in 1993. He would die on June 22nd, 2006, my wedding day. What is his name?
You can work in teams if you want.
Number two. This former Texas Ranger and Detroit Tigers second baseman was born on June 22nd, 1982. What was his name?
We'll go with this.
Number three, this New York Giants Hall of Fame left-hander was born on June 22nd, 1903. What is his name? Number four, a two-part question.
That would be amazing.
This current first sacker in the AL West was born on June 22nd, 1997. What is his name and what team does he play for? Number five. Number five. This Hall of Fame catcher played his last major league game on June 22nd, 1993. What is his name? Number six. The National League approves players wearing numbers on this day in what year? June 22nd, what year?
National League, not the American League.
National League, not the American League. Just take a shot in the dark on that one.
Number 7, the controversial Bill Beck purchases a team on this day in 1946. What team did he purchase? Number 8, on June 22nd, 1984, Calvin Griffith and his sister agreed to sell the Twins. Who did he sell the Twins to? Number 9, this Hall of Fame manager took over as the manager of the Atlanta Braves on June 22nd of 1990. What is his name? Number 10. Oh.
That's our $5 right there.
All right. Number 10. This Hall of Fame pitcher ended his comeback bid on this day in 1987. What was his name? He might have been mentioned earlier in the evening.
While you're thinking about that, here's a news update. Jeremy Pena abruptly leaves Astros game in potential new injury concern.
You hear that?
I'd rather hear about.
Literally just happened.
I'd rather hear about. Go ahead.
What?
Bond rate.
Yeah, the Dubon trade. It's just killing me every day now with what he's doing with the Braves.
Yeah, but Nick Allen, he's so good.
Nick Allen. Yeah, Nick Allen. That's right.
All right, and number 11, the Astros set a franchise record on June 22nd, 1966, with 50,908 fans to watch this Hall of Fame pitcher pitch against the Astros. What was his name? And that is the end of the trivia contest.
Got the answer?
Got the answers.
Don't freak your nose on TV.
Huh?
Don't freak your nose on the internet.
All right, y'all ready for the answers?
Okay, ready for answers?
Wait. Are we ready for the answers? Are y'all? Do not trust AI, by the way, with these questions, because speaking of Brownie's presentation, I asked AI earlier tonight, how many Cincinnati Reds have hit over 50 home runs? And AI came back and said none, except George Foster, who hit over 52.
All right.
Now think about what I just said.
Which Sparrow died on their wedding day? Daryl Kyle. Okay, your former Texas Rangers and Detroit Tigers second baseman born on this day in 1982.
Ian Kinsler.
Ian Kinsler.
Oh. Ian Kinsler.
Okay, number 3, your Hall of Fame left-hander born in 1903 on this day is Carl Hubble. Okay, the current first baseman in the AL West born this day.
First baseman?
In the AL West. You only have 5, you have 1 in 5 shots. It is Josh Naylor of the Seattle Mariners.
Josh. You got that right.
Okay, number 5, this Hall of Fame catcher played his last game in 1993. Carlton Fisk. Okay. Number 6, in what year does the National League approve numbers on jerseys? This is wild stuff.
1920.
Close.
32.
32.
I'm within 3. Do I get it right? No.
Okay, what team did Bill Veeck buy?
Brown.
Indians. Okay, who bought the Twins in 1984?
Who bought the Twins in 1984?
Targets.
Polad, Carl Polad. Okay, number 9. This one should be easier. Who's the Hall of Fame manager that took over as the Braves manager in 1990? Bobby Cox. Number 10. This Hall of Fame pitcher quits his comeback bid in 1987. He was mentioned tonight. Tom Seaver. And finally, number 11. Who was pitching against the Astros on this day in 1966? That was Koufax. So 12 possible points.
Brownie doesn't have any books left, so we got the 3 gifts.
Okay, do we have any perfect scores?
No, I just wanna make one.
Who has the perfect?
I would have thought it would have been appropriate to have 22 possible.
I tried.
You could.
I tried. All right, anybody with 10?
How did we get to 12?
Because Josh Naylor and the Seattle Mariners were both answers to that one, that 2-part question.
Go to 5.
5, or does anybody have 5? Okay, we got a lot of 5.
All right.
All right, 6.
Whoa! Wait a minute, wait. Really, John?
No, I kind of, not some point.
Ted?
6.
Congratulations, Ted. You are the winner.
Yay!
Most important job for you is to write the trivia contest for August.
I got it. Go on.
But now your consolation prize is a Fayetteville Woodpeckers Cup, a Greenville Drive Cup, or a card set of the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. Huh? Brownie ran out of books. Yeah, no. Okay, who got 5? Who got 5? Got 5.
Yes, anybody on
Oh, did anybody online? Any of y'all get any?
Carl, how many did you get?
Okay, so here's the thing. We got 5. We got John Lloyd, Tony, and her. We got 2 gifts. Hold on a second. Hold on. I can break this tie.
I'll put the pass right.
I can break this tie, everyone. Hold on. I use my father's face. My son got me this for Father's Day. Baseball Ultimate Trivia book. So I'm gonna break this 3-way tie. All right, 2 gifts. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Let me see. That was. All right, in what year did legendary owner George Steinbrenner purchase the New York Yankees?
1970.
Oh.
No, it did.
Hey! Hey!
Sorry. I bet there's a number in there.
1970, 1971, 1973, or 1974? Okay, 3 guys right here.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'll ask you. 1970, 71, 73, or 74? 73? All right, Herb got that one. We got some of you Johnson. Okay. Which Philadelphia Phillies Hall of Famer took home MVP honors to make some 30? What'd you say?
Around the town there. What's the question? Yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies players home NL honors in 1932. Chuck Klein, Mr. Tony.
Tony was there.
Wow.
It's my.
That's just out of nowhere.
Thank you. I don't want to drink the.
I don't know. Okay, everybody, thank you all for a great meeting. Remember, the August meeting is going to be all about Dierker's 50th anniversary of his only no-hitter. The actual no-hitter takes place July 9th, 1976, but we're celebrating it August 17th of this year. If you want to write, if you have a story about no-hitters, or you have a story about Dierker's no-hitter, maybe you were there, you want to share the story, or you want to share it in the newsletter, Tony, when are the summer newsletter articles due? The summer newsletter article. It'll be before the next meeting. Doesn't the summer news, or Scott, when do the summer newsletter articles come out? In August, right? The summer newsletter, doesn't it come out in August?
Late July. What's the difference?
Late July, early August, so mid-July? Mid-July. Okay? Get those pencils writing. Yes, Gloria, you have a question? Yeah, I think this upcoming newsletter will be dedicated to no-hitters and Dierker's no-hitter. Okay? Thank you all. Have a great day. Go Astros. Please, no more Astros get hurt. All right. Thank you.
Good job.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
I cannot say.
This one goes from the heart, I can tell.
I drove across state lines to get you down.
I know, I respect that. I respect that.
All right, so have you ever been there?
Where?
To Greenville? You wanna go?
I was with a law firm in space.
They were plenty of, there were plenty of.
Big minor league guy.
They have a mini concert. They're singing Sweet Caroline. South Carolina was trying to be boss. Buddy. Wait. I'm gonna say that. All right, thank you all very much. Thank you.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, probably, yes.
Shut down, save it, and then I'll just unplug everything.
Okay, wait a minute. Oh, hold on.
This week.